Hi, welcome to Faith, Friendships, and Fun with Les. Today in the kitchen I am, and I get to do a really sweet little recipe card that fell from one of my books the other day, and it's called The Peanut Butter Bars by Rose. And that is my precious mom's, one of her best old friends, Rose, and she actually lives right here in Detroit Lakes in Pelican Landing and is a very special person in our lives. But this little thing was written in my mom's handwriting, which makes it so precious. But if this doesn't turn out, I'm gonna go track down Rose. That's all I can say about that. So we are today taking we've melted already butter, and it can be softened, of course. It's a half a cup. And then I'm gonna just do a quick little fix on this egg so it gets all blended up just the right way. Because you pretty much always need to do this to your eggs, and I think most people know that. So then we have that ready. And today I am visiting Layton Studio, and we're in this beautiful kitchen, but there's a few things that I did not bring in, but they had. But look at this, a new mixing bowl. It might look like a big pot to you, but today it's working for our mixing bowl. So what I've done also in my ingredients, I've just kind of added together today. So the recipe calls for, isn't this groovy? Half cup brown, half cup white. Boosh, and there it is, all together. You could probably do that, set up at home. Make some Christmas treats, and I know they do that at big stores, but just an idea. So then we're gonna put this egg and butter into our mix. So sugar, pretty much almost all bars have a good old mix right away. You get some butter going, you get your sugar started to stir in there. A little louder than a little bowl, but that's all right. And then we're gonna put this egg in here, because I've got that all ready to go in here. And they also call for a 1/3 cup peanut butter. Sweet little mama tin of 1/3 cup. Like truth, I'm like, I think most of you that have watched this show have never seen me measure peanut butter, but today it's a treat. All because of an honor of Rose, I'm taking that 1/3 cup, and so that's gonna go in. That also acts as a butter. So think about that, sugar and butters, and then already an egg that you've also just kind of had a chance to whip on up. So that's what's gonna go in this bowl. And that's what you can start with. Most baking bars, cookies, you should kind of think that direction, that's what's gonna be in there. So we're gonna mix this up underneath all this ground up business. Of course, we're visiting the core. Again, you wanna notice from the side, I am holding it in because that's part of baking treats. You think I'm kidding about that? I am kinda, because I have treats and don't think about it. But I do know that we need to challenge ourselves. Once they get done stirring, kind of having like a good workout here, there's the consistency that we want. Now, we're gonna go into the next part, and there, it's such a great thing. I have half a teaspoon sodas in there, a little bit of salt is in there, a cup of oatmeal, and a cup of flour. I love that I saw that those ingredients were in there. That makes me just happy. So again, super simple, huh? I think we're on to a new thing. Just have it ready so you don't have to pull the oatmeal out, the flour out. This is really some good place to do some kitchen treats here at Layton Broadcasting. So we're gonna mix that all up, hopefully nice and good, and working hard at keeping good thoughts while I'm doing this. Because sometimes I just don't wanna do this. I just wanna have the treats and not the work behind it. Okay, so we have got, this is about the consistency that we are gonna deal with today. Like I said, sometimes you want the easy way out, right? Life's not like that. Discipline. Why is discipline hard? I don't know. It actually is more than just physical, huh? Mental discipline is huge. Spiritual discipline is too, but maybe not everyone knows what that looks like. And it's not a matter of, okay, like for mental, of course, our thought life, talk about that all the time, I do. And I work on it myself, but I really do but just share a lot with my friends that I come in contact. Sometimes I just come in contact with at a grocery store. That happened to me a couple weeks ago, and I surely wish I could remember her name. I heard it once, but we visited as she just was walking by, and then she's like, "You're on TV3, aren't you?" And then I smile, and I'm grateful that she watched. And but then I got to listening to her, And I just thought, there's so many people like this that go in, forgive me, this is my paws and I'm gonna be using it, and they are clean. But we're gonna spread this consistency out, okay? Now getting back to my story of this lovely lady. She was a little sad, she had missed a flight. She was supposed to go to her kiddos, and the weather prevented, a car trouble, the taxi broke down. So she's telling me a little bit of this, and you could see sadness, but I knew that there was more to it. And she goes, we just really need your inspirational, your motivational words, whatever she had said. And I said, yeah. I said, everybody's life has to do that. And I said, it gets easier though if you start talking that way. And I said, is everything okay though? And she shared with me that her children, the siblings, weren't getting along. And they were really not even communicating. And it was breaking her heart, I could see that. Okay, so there's a lady in the store, and I just happened? No, it's a God thing all the way. The Lord is always looking for us to encourage or to be encouraged, but we just have to get into a little bit of conversation. What bothers me so much about this world is that we forget how important it is to talk to those people, whether it be at the grocery store, any old place really, the oil changing place. Just strike up a conversation. They could be hurting today, or you could be, and they can help you out. So I would just want to say to those people that stop me and share with me that they like the show or they've been encouraged by, it just blesses my socks off. It just does. It's just amazing to hear and to be part of maybe something they heard on the show or had when I read something off. But that God is constantly at work through all of us kids. And you know what's so important to remember? This is just Les Engelstead. You are just as important in the kingdom, important in this community as I am. And it is remarkable when we get out of our head and start thinking about who we've been created to be, because we serve a purpose. Don't let the enemy of our souls, whatever you want to believe, there really is. There is a force of good and a force of evil, and we are being worked on. Just like I was working to get this thing all out, that's how it's worked on. If you think about it, we are at war. And maybe that sounds pretty crazy. And some, as believers, know that we are, because we're constantly being bombarded with all the things like, if God was real, that would have been already passed. I wouldn't have had to still dealing with this 30 years later, or whatever it might be, or my loneliness, or the difficulty that I'm walking through. But it takes a lot of endurance and press on and get throughs, and then eventually it's going to get sweet. Just like these bars, getting back to a lighter subject. So in we go. I've got a preheated oven at 350, and all I've done, as you saw, is just pressed it on into the 13 by 9. And now we're gonna bake it for about 15 minutes, is what Rose says. We'll come back and we'll see how it goes. Okay, we have about 15 minutes of bake time going on here. So what I'm gonna do now with these Rose's peanut butter bars, I look for it to pull away, and I may have referred that before, light brown on the edge and then just kind of pulling away. Okay, you can do it by touch too, and it feels like it's starting to firm up. A peanut butter, you don't wanna go too much because then it's a drag, it's dry and it falls apart, but you wanna go long enough. So I believe that I see that it's pulled apart just a little bit on the sides. So that is what I'm gonna call, I think I'm gonna call it. We're gonna go from there. Okay, the next step is that I'm taking chocolate chips. She says here in the recipe to spread chips, about a cup. Okay, I was raised with my mama and she likes more than less. And so that's why I'm kind of going a little bit more than a cup. And we're gonna go like this, and she says to, in the recipe, that it's gonna melt on top. We're gonna believe that this is gonna melt down here, and meanwhile it's gonna soften. I think that's enough. And we have one more step to this recipe. We are gonna take about 3/4 cup powdered sugar, which I have got in the jar. And if you do any baking, you'll just peanut butter frosting, and it's a mix of peanut butter, obviously, powdered sugar, and milk. So I'm going to take that peanut butter, which acts like a little butter, right? We're going to put that a measured 1/3 cup. Again, those that watch the show are got to be impressed. I'm using a measuring cup. Otherwise, you know what I'm talking about. One big blob. Look at that. One big blob equals 1/3. We got that. Now we're going to put the powdered sugar, and about 3/4 of a cup is what we're going to call that. Okay. And then this is the tricky part. So you can kind of almost start mixing that up. And you're going to say, she's got 4 to 6. So what you're going to do is just look for consistency. I'm not going to measure this. I'm just going to pour it. That's just plain old milk. And what I want to do is not get too thin, but not too thick either, right? So see what I'm doing? I'm just going to create this little frosting. And she has it covered. Now with this chocolate chip melting on there, I'm sure it could cool down, but I'm not afraid of having it not look perfect. So forgive me, Rose, if you catch this, that I'm going to do it Les's way. And that is a little bit thinner, but you see what I did? I just poured until the consistency. And you can do this on anything. I do it on a banana bar bread. That's so good. People like it a lot. And it's just, or you can use it with butter, of course, butter frosting. But this is the peanut butter, which is the best. That works really well with your chocolate, of course. So this is what I'm going to do. And this is the last little step. We are going to take that, and we could do 2 things here. Let me just show you. We can start, this chocolate was going to start melting, and that's going on here. I don't want to do too much or it's going to tear up the bar. It looks like the bar is doing pretty good. I'm tearing it up a little bit in the corner by doing this, but I am going to do, just trying to get it around to the edges so everybody gets a little chocolate. And then another thing is, if you're not a big chocolate girl and just like peanut butter, then just cover maybe 3/4 of it and share with your neighbors. Get rid of the chocolate. So it's going to be a bar for everybody. Thanks, Rose. And then we do this. And now we'll take that peanut butter. And that can look a couple ways too. I'm going to kind of do it off like this, the blob. If I put a little bit more milk in there, y'all, you're going to have it so it's nice and thin. Okay? I'm just a thick girl a little bit. And that's why I'm going to kind of spread it out like that. So this is the gist of it all. Okay? So I am hoping that you are delighted with this. And let me tell you this, it is so fun to share with loved ones and neighbors. And those people that say, oh no, I just can't. I don't do sugar. We'll challenge them for the day, because why on earth would there be something as good as peanut butter and chocolate and sugar? It just wouldn't be. It's very important for you to come over on the side of treats, all you people that stay away from it. Sorry, I just had to put that in there. I know there's a little bit of discipline that I could use about saying no to chocolate and peanut butter, but for the most part, I love it and I love to share it, and most people I give it to are happy I did. Now, I'm going to just make a disclaimer on this. This is probably not what Rose's looked like exactly, because she probably waited for it to be a little more perfect. But the chocolate is mixed with the peanut butter, and come on now, who doesn't like that? You make yourself have a great day, and thanks again. We'll see you next time.